We're gonna talk about escapism. Um, Getting wicked out here, man. And I know I can't be the only one out here seeing this stuff. Um, but I'm just trying to help the people who really out here searching for answers, searching for truth. Really need help. That's all I'm trying to do. Which I might get into it a little bit later on in this, but look, here we go. I'm gonna start off reading a few scriptures for y'all, and then I'm gonna try to link it all back to escapism. Like I said, just keep that word in the back of your mind. Escapism. We talking about escapism. Escape. To escape. Escaping. Escapism. All right. This is be not bound together with unbelievers. All right. This is 2 Corinthians 14 through 16. Do not be bound together with unbelievers. For what partnership have unrighteousness and lawlessness, or what fellowship has light with darkness, or what harmony has a Mashiach with Belial, or what has a believer in common with an unbeliever, or what agreement has the temple of Yahuwah with idols? For we are the temple of the living Yahuwah, just as Yahuwah said. I'm not gonna read this, but just keep that scripture in mind. You are to keep my statutes. You shall not breed together two kinds of your cattle. You shall not sow your field with two kids. Dang, hold on, let me restart. You are to keep my statutes. Dang, let me restart. This is Leviticus 19:19. You are to keep my statutes. You shall not breed together two kinds of your cattle. You shall not sow your field with two kinds of seed, nor wear a garment upon you of two kinds of material mixed together. This is Deuteronomy 22 through 11. Same thing that I just read. You shall not sow your vineyard with two kinds of seed, or produce of the seed which you have sown, and the increase of your vineyard will become defiled. You shall not plow with an ox and a donkey together. You shall not wear material mixed of wool and linen together. Furthermore, you shall not, I'm sorry, this is Deuteronomy 7, 3 through 6. Furthermore, you shall not intermarry with them. You shall not give your daughters to their sons, nor shall you make their daughters for your sons, for they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other Elohim. Then the anger of Yahuwah will be kindled against you, and he will quickly destroy you. But thus you shall do to them. Tear down their altars, smash their sacred pillars, and hew down their asherim, and burn their graven images with fire. For you are a holy people unto Yahuwah your Elohim. The Yahuwah your Elohim has chosen you to be a people for his own possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth. What do all those scriptures have in common? Being separate, set apart, not mixing. Even if you go to the beginning, the very beginning, Genesis, Bereshit, whatever you would like to call it, is going to say, Yah made these animals, and he made these animals to mate after their kind, and it was good. Yah separated this from this, and it was good. Being separate is good. Now, why am I bringing this up if I'm talking about escapism? Follow me, and I'm going to show you. The reason why it's good to be separate is just like the scriptures that if you choose to be yoked up with an unbeliever, or you choose not to be separate, you will compromise. And when you compromise, it affects everything. When you compromise Yah's laws, it affects everything. It affects not only yourself, but other people and other beings around you. And that is your choice. But you understand that that's the choice that you're making. Every time you make a decision, it not only affects you, but everybody around you. And understanding that, it should make you make a better choice. But let me give you some more material or some more things to think about. When you read, going back to Adam and Eve, book of Genesis, when Adam and Eve sinned by eating the apple, what did they do? And what did it cause? They ate an apple in which Yah told them not to do. So if you follow the order of operations, I'm gonna call it, Yah has his laws. When you don't listen to Yah's laws or the natural state of things, how things naturally flow, for life to continue. Because before this, they did not die. Yah never told them that they was gonna die. They actually had the tree of life, which meant, I'm just gonna say, in the cycle, in the season, they would eat of its fruit and will continue to live. But they sinned and threw everything off. I'm gonna give you another example. Even after they threw everything off, what was the effects of that? Did it just affect Adam and Eve, or was it broader than that? Obviously, it's much broader, because look at where we're at right now. Look at life right now. Tell me how deep it was. One mistake, one thing that you did wrong. Look at how deep that effect rippled. I'm gonna give you another example of why your choice matters and why I brought up being separate. Because Adam and Eve didn't really have a choice, because as far as we know, it was just them, based off of what we're reading. It was just them so far, right? Or maybe it was just them in the garden. Maybe there was other people outside of them, outside of the garden, but that's a different topic. I'm not even going to hit that. But think about Achan. When Joshua was leading the Israelites after they got out of Egypt, on a conquest to get their land, Yah told them not to do something. And one man, just one man did this. One man, going by the name of Achan, took spoils in which were not supposed to be his. And what happened to him? Or I should say, what happened to the people? Everybody was judged because of one man. Because of his decision, everybody got judged because he was amongst the camp. That's why I'm telling you, and that's why I read the scriptures in the very beginning. And this is how I choose to live my life as well. Anybody who chooses not to live by Yah's commands, I live separate from them. It doesn't matter who you are. Because Joshua 25:15 says, as for me and my house, we will serve Yahweh. And that's what I stand by. And I always will. Because otherwise, judgment will fall upon my house. Now that goes for friends, family, and whoever else. But that's only part of the story. I'm here to talk about escapism, like I said. So let's keep going. Every choice in which you make should reflect the scriptures. When you read James, it says, one who reads the scriptures or reads Yah's laws, or actually, well, I'm going to pull up the verse for you. Or prove yourselves doers of the word and not merely hearers who delude themselves. Or if anyone is a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like a man who looks at his natural face in the mirror. For once he has looked at himself and gone away, he has immediately forgotten what kind of person he was. But one who looks intently at the perfect law, the law of liberty, and abides by it, not having becoming not having become a forgetful hearer, but an effectual doer, this man will be blessed in what he does. Now, what I'm saying is your your choice should reflect scripture. When you make a choice and when you go out into the world, no matter what you're doing, whether you're working, just hanging out, doing whatever you're doing in the world, riding a bike, going to the store, um, whatever daily activities you have going on, whatever you're doing, when you go back and read the scriptures, your actions, your words should reflect in the scriptures. That's what James is saying right there. It should reflect. And when you do that, especially when you do that over time, it produces fruit. There was once a movie that I watched. In the movie, there's I don't agree with everything in the movie, so not like telling you to go watch this movie, but just know in the movie they were showing that your heart is like a garden. And I agree with that. I believe that scripture also says the same thing. Um, that's why when and you use scripture to interpret scripture, and you use that to interpret life. And I'm gonna explain it to you. When Yahusha talks about the parable of the sower, he's talking about sowing a seed in your heart. Now, he gives different scenarios of what can happen if the seed doesn't penetrate your heart, or I'm just gonna say if it doesn't penetrate and get down where it's supposed to. So if there's a seed and it's too shallow, the seed will get blown away, or the seed will get washed away, or the seed will get burnt up and dried up. When it comes to tribulation, I'm paraphrasing. I didn't pull it up for you guys. I'm sorry, but you should get the point. Now, it's not like this is just one seed, because anytime you do anything in life, there's going to be a seed that gets planted. That's whether you hear something, you watch something, maybe it's an action you do. There will be a seed that is planted then and there. Now, how do you know what kind of seed was planted? When it comes time for harvest, you get to see what kind of fruit comes up. So I'm gonna give you an example. If all you ever do is watch a bunch of mess on TV, right? You see a bunch of vulgar language, people dressing crazy, people talking crazy, um, people who just act like they don't have any common sense. Well, guess what? What that is a seed. Now, when you choose to go outside, when you choose to talk to somebody, you know if that seed got planted in you by if what you watched came out. That's the fruit. And you know if that fruit is of the Spirit, or if that fruit is of Yah, if it agrees with Galatians 5:22 verses. And when I say verses, I'm not saying the verse, I'm saying verses, the fruits of the flesh, which is, I want to say it's Galatians 5:17, somewhere around there. For the flesh, no, I'm not gonna read that. This is just saying the flesh is opposite of the Spirit, but this is Galatians 5:18. But if you are led by the Spirit, you are not under the law. Now the deeds of the flesh are evident, which are immorality, impurity, sensuality, idolatry, sorcery, enmities, strife, jealousy, outbursts of anger, disputes, dissensions, factions, envying, drunkenness, carousing, and things like these. These, to me, are very self-explanatory. I do not like going over the basics, because I believe the remnant should be much further than what I'm saying, but I'm going to just keep going, because I'm trying to get to escapism. Now, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law. So we understand that whatever you do, the choices you make, plant seeds in your heart. And seeds, when these seeds get planted, you'll know if they took root by the fruit of your life, right? People can see that. You'll change, right? But this is only if you follow Yah's laws. Because if you're following Yah's laws, these fruits of the Spirit will naturally grow in you and will be evident. People will be able to see them in you. Think about a tree. Think about an apple tree. An apple tree isn't growing to be an apple tree for himself or itself. It's so other things can enjoy the fruit from that tree. That's what you are. You are a tree. Remember when Yahusha was talking to I think he allowed the blind man, he was talking to the blind man. The blind man was like, I see men as trees. This is what you are. And you know what you're getting. This is why it's important to separate from bad trees, because if you eat of their fruit, what's that going to do for you? What's that going to give you? No good tree gives off bad fruit. But just think about that. Now, the people who do not choose to listen to Yah's laws, I want you to think about something. I'm going to read another scripture for you. All right. Job 15:20 says, all the life of the wicked is spent in anxiety, and the years given to the mighty are numbered. I want you to focus on this part right here. Why? Why would all the life of the wicked be spent in anxiety? Because they're wicked. Deep down, the people know or they don't know. And that's the whole point of anxiety. Anxiety is being anxious because you don't know. It's the fear of the unknown. If you do not walk with Yah, you are not sure about anything. You just make random decisions. Hope you don't get judged for them. And hope that the decision that you're making is not correct. Understand that it says the wicked. And who are the wicked? The wicked are the ones who are lawless. The ones who live by the law are not anxious because they know exactly what it is they're doing. And they know that whatever they're doing, because it's lawful, given by the Creator who made everything and created everything, he said this is okay. So as long as they're following the law, they're not worried about their steps. They have no reason to be anxious. They have done no wrong. Not saying people don't sin. Not saying they don't mess up. But I'm saying they're not going to walk around anxious, awaiting judgment, because they're trying their hardest to not be unlawful, not be wicked, to acknowledge Yah in all their ways. But to the wicked who don't care, they know that what they're doing is wrong. Or they know, or they don't know, like I said. So they're anxious. They're constantly having anxiety. I don't know if you've ever talked to somebody or talked to people, but sometimes I speak to people and just looking at them, they look guilty for some reason. Talking to them, they project guilt constantly. People who are constantly anxious. Why are you so anxious? What are you running from? That's what it is. You're constantly running from something. That's why I'm talking about escapism. But what are you running from? That's the real question. I'm going to give you the answer real quick. I'll let you think about it. Now, Job 7:21 says, and I just want to focus on this first part. I'll explain the whole thing, but I just want to focus on this part. It says, and on what account did you not make my iniquity forgotten and a purification of my sin? A purification of my sin. How do you get purified of sin? Think about when somebody goes to jail. Let's say I beat somebody up what happens? I go to jail. I get judged and sentenced. And the sentencing is usually something that it makes you uncomfortable, which purifies you of your sin. The process of that purifies you. What happens if you do something like you beat somebody up and it goes unpunished? Are you purified, or are you going to continue to keep doing that? You're most likely going to be a reoccurring offender, repeat offender, right? Right. That's what people are running from. When I talk about escapism, most people know they're doing things that are wrong. Everybody has a conscience. Some people's consciences are seared real bad, but you have a conscience. Now, the whole reason why people are even able to escape and use this escapism tactic or route is because Yah gives people grace. Going back to the Achan example, when Achan did what he did, grace wasn't realized then, because as soon as he did it, immediately everybody was affected and he died immediately, right? Understand, when you sin and you go outside of the law, that's what you deserve. You don't have to agree with what I'm saying, but it's the truth. That's what I love about the truth. You don't have to agree. You don't have to believe what I'm saying for it to be true, but understand that it's true. Because truth is a person, and truth said this. But all men, every man, sins, except one, right? And guess what? He died for you. That's why it says grace was realized through Yahusha when he came down. But guess what you still have to do? Still have to, even though you sin, go through the process of purification, which is dealing with your sin, dealing with the consequences of your sin. No, you most likely don't have to die, but you do have to deal with your sin. And that's what most people are running from. That's why the wicked always walk around with anxiety, because they're awaiting judgment. But this is where escapism comes in. I want you to understand, when you read the Bible and you think about all the prophets, all that's happening throughout the Bible, it's a giant court case. Even Satan's name is the accuser. This is a gigantic court case. Yah uses the prophets as as like the judge sometimes. He's just speaking through them to give them the verdict, telling them what's going to happen. But guess what? Escapism. They tried to run from the prophets every time. So guess what they did? All the prophets, unless they got caught up. Most of the time, they got mad at the prophets, killed them. Why? Because they're trying to run it. Escapism. I'm going to give you a real example. So, in my life, recently, I had a disagreement with a certain individual. And the individual no longer wanted to have the conversation. Not because I was saying anything wrong, not because my tone was off, but simply because, based on what I was saying, their feelings got hurt. Their feelings made them feel some type of way. They started to feel bad. But guess what? Look at my face. Feelings are of the flesh. And the flesh is supposed to be subjected to the spirit. In other words, if this is a layered thing, your spirit is supposed to be up here and your flesh is supposed to be down here. The law is spiritual, which is why you abide by the law and you deal with your feelings second. This is Romans 8:6-8. For the mindset on the flesh is death, but the mindset on the spirit is life and peace. Because the mindset on flesh is hostile towards Yahuwah. or does not subject itself to the law of Yahweh, or it is not even able to do so. And those who are in the flesh cannot please Yahweh. However, you are not in the flesh, but in the spirit, if indeed the spirit of Yahweh dwells in you. But if anyone does not have the spirit of Hamashiach, he does not belong to him. You're supposed to be set apart. Yah. If you are Yah, if you are set apart, you are not fleshly, you are spiritual. And to be spiritual, you listen to Yah's laws and commandments. Anybody who's telling you not to follow Yah's laws and commandments is revealing themselves as not Yah's. I don't care who they are. I don't care what pastor tells you. You don't have to keep the law. I don't care how many degrees, who they are in the world. It's Satan, bro. Not true. It's a lie. You're death. You're in death. You're in sin of the flesh. Now, I already kind of pointed it out, but when you try to do the law, you're going to understand that trying to do the law in this world, especially here in America, I'm not sure about anywhere else, but I'm sure it's just as bad, but I don't know, it's real bad here. It's very hard to keep the law. Why? And when I say it's very hard, it's only hard if you make it hard, but if you're wrapped up so deep in sin and it's very different from you and you try to please both the world and Yahweh, then it's hard. But when you're only sold out for Yahweh, it's not difficult at all. But when you try to accomplish this, you're going to see that there are many things that are going to test you. And this is when the uncomfortability happens. And during the process of this, understand this is your sentencing. This is purifying you. So you keep the laws, you guard his commandments through everything. I want you to think about something. Matter of fact, I'm going to bring up the verse for you. I'm just going to say, they heard the sound of Yahweh Elohim walking about in the garden in the morning, and both Adam and his wife hid from the face of Yahweh in the middle of the tree of the garden. And Yahweh summoned Adam and said to him, Adam, where are you? He said to him, I heard the sound of you walking about in the garden, and I was afraid because I am naked, and I hid. He said to him, who told you that you are naked? Unless you have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, from this one alone, do not eat. Adam said, the woman with me whom you gave, she gave me something from the tree, and I ate. Yahweh said to the woman, what is this you have done? The woman said, the serpent deceived me, and I ate. Blah, 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 blah. We know the whole story. But listen to what he says afterwards. Listen to the order. Yahweh said to the serpent, because you have done this, accursed are you of all the livestock and of all the wild animals of the earth. You will go upon your chest and belly, and you will eat earth all the days of your life. I will place enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He will catch your head carefully, and you will catch his heel carefully. He said to the woman, I will multiply your pain and your moaning. You will bring forth children in pain, and your recourse will be to your husband, and he will be master over you. And he said to Adam, because you obeyed the voice of your wife and ate from the tree of which I commanded you, from only this one do not eat. You ate from that one. The earth is accursed by your works. In pain you will eat it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles will grow up for you. You will eat the herbs of the field. You will eat your bread by the sweat of your face until you return into the earth from which you were taken, because you are earth, and you will depart into the earth. Now, understand that he gave each person a sentencing. Could he have just said, you know what, I'm going to just kill all y'all right now? Sure, it could have. What's stopping him? Nothing. If he created them, he could take them out. But instead, what did he do? He sentenced them based upon what they did. Do you understand that? Why? To purify them. What did Adam have to do? He had to work, had to go through hardship. What did the woman have to do? Go through hardship. What does the serpent have to do? Go through hardship. Everybody has to go through hardship. Nobody escapes it. You don't escape it. But I want you to see something also. What did Adam do when he was confronted? Did he become truthful? Or did he try to escape and hide? He hid 2 times. He tried to hide 2 times. First, he hid, then he was naked. Meaning the covering from which he had, by doing the laws, he was covered, right? As soon as he stopped, you're uncovered. Anxiety. Like I said earlier, anxiety. You know you're guilty. And then when confronted, what do? Oh, it was her. Excuses, hiding, lying, deflecting, whatever you want to call it. Now you got to go through something to burn that sin out of you. And that's what the world tries to get away from, trying to escape. This cat is a nut. Now I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you what our example did. All right. This is Hebrews 5:7-11. In the days of his flesh, he offered up both prayers and supplication with loud crying and tears to the one able to save him from death. And he was heard because of his piety. Although he was a son, he learned obedience from the things in which he suffered. Having been made perfect, he became to all those who obey him the source of eternal salvation. Being designated by Yahweh as a high priest according to the order of Melchizedek, concerning him we have much to say, and it is hard to explain since you have become dull of hearing. Now, this part, not saying I'm not saying I'm a genius, right? But there are certain things that is really hard for me to explain to people because of what Paul just said. And I'm sure he knows much more than me. But Paul does understand the priesthood of Melchizedek. It's difficult for me to try to explain because based on the people I talk to, everybody is so lost. It would take me hours to try to. You just gonna have to get there when you get there. But I just want you to focus on the main thing. Hamashiach learned obedience through suffering. He was our example, even though he was a son. Now go back to Adam. What do you think he has to do now? Why do you think his sentencing was suffering? Why do you think the woman's sentencing is suffering and not escapism? Because Yahweh wants relationship with you again. That's why. But you have to earn it. You have to get there. When I say earn it, I'm not saying you have to work your way through, because there's nothing that you can't work your way to salvation. His son, Yahweh gave his son as a gift, a free gift. We just have to accept it. But in accepting it, you have to also accept the process. Like, it's all a process. And you have grace, so you don't instantly have to die. So if you mess up, dust yourself off and get back up. The righteous man gonna fall 7 times and get back up. And keep going. Keep going through that process. Purification. Not escaping. Once again, I talked about the apple tree a little bit earlier. Did Yahusha die for himself, or did he die for everybody else? He died for everybody else. Did he need to die? Did he exist before us? Yes. So did he need to die to keep on existing? No. So who did he die for? Us. Think about an apple tree. You suffer for other people. Even when you go to Revelations and it says, the leaves will be for the nations for healing. When you go back to the beginning, eat of all these fruits except this one. Why? Because you ate from the wrong one. You did the wrong thing. You made the wrong decision, which caused you to do what? Mess everything up for everybody. Now look at us. We all got to suffer now. But the world breeds escapism, and escapism is the most selfish thing that you can do. Because I suffer for others. I don't do it for myself. If I did anything for myself, I would be selfish. Half the stuff that I do, I shouldn't even say half the stuff. Most of the stuff I do, I only do it for other people. Because that's the natural order of everything. But instead, the world breeds escapism, running from stuff, which is so selfish because people only think about themselves. That's all anybody ever does. Me, 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 me. Self-love. Self-love has turned into self-hate. And projected all throughout society, and it's a ripple effect, and it multiplies. The enemy knows how to do nothing but copy what Yahweh does. So if there's an apple tree, understand there's for lack of better words, a negative apple tree. And one apple has turned into 50 apples. So a negative apple tree has turned into what? 50 negative apples. And if you spread that out across the world, what do you have? The upside down world. Let me stop. Now, getting back to escapism. Where does escapism come in? And what do I mean by that? I'm gonna go back to what I referenced earlier. When I had a disagreement. And you guys will notice this too. If you have any disagreements, or if you're talking to somebody, if you're out in public, whatever you're doing, people escape to their own world so that they don't have to deal with reality. You'll be outside, you'll be standing in line at a store, waiting for your food. You'll randomly pull your phone out for what? So you can escape. Now you think I'm being funny. I'm being serious. What are you running from? Why did you just pull your phone out? Cause it's awkward? What's awkward about standing at a store? Nothing. When I talked about being in a disagreement, when I was in a disagreement, usually after the disagreement is over, what do you immediately do? You either get on your phone, turn the TV on, or go do something else to distract you from what you just did, instead of trying to slowly walk through the uncomfortability and figure out truth, figure out what Yah is trying to show you. Because Yah is always talking. You're just a receiver. You're a priest, supposed to be. The Spirit is supposed to dwell inside you. You're supposed to listen to it. So if you're supposed to be listening to it, how you listening to it if you distracted? You can't be. And that's what this world is. It's full of distractions everywhere. There's devices everywhere. And when I say devices, anything that's distracting you from Yahweh is a distraction. Is a device. Entertainment. Right now, there's so much stuff going on. Yah is really trying to talk to people, but we worried about the NBA playoffs. If you listened and understood what his word was saying, and you paid attention to the signs and how he's speaking, there's no way you can be focused on mess like that. People love to just, as soon as you hear somebody gossiping, talking about somebody else's business, everybody's all ears. And I'm speaking about what I hear and what I see when I go outside. When I pull up YouTube on my phone, YouTube used to be my safe haven. It used to be cool. But now when I go on YouTube, it's people talking about nothing. And when I compare it to the scriptures, it's all fruits of the flesh. Every single thing in which is on my feet is fruits of the flesh. Talking about stuff that do not matter. I try to get rid of it. Don't show this. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. But in 2 days, somehow it's popped back up. That's why I said in the very beginning, if you try to do Yah's laws, you'll see that it's difficult, and you going through the difficulty will produce fruit in you for others, that somebody could watch somebody else doing it and say, how are you doing that? What's different about you? Because the way I walk, the way I carry myself is going to be way different than what everybody else is doing. But others, going back to the wicked being anxious. When you're anxious all the time, your life is a living hell. Really hard to do anything. And that's when distractions get really bad. Because distractions are just that they're supposed to be a one-time use. Pass go one time. Get out of jail free card, right? Get in a big argument. Oh, I need to go do this real quick. But just like what Yah does when his love multiplies, meaning you have a fruit, it becomes 50 fruits after you plant the seed. The enemy copies that. But instead of it being love, it's death. You just multiplying death and chaos in your life. So when you have one distraction, let's say one distraction is you watching TV. Well, guess what's on TV? Mess. You distracting yourself with mess breeds more mess. The motives, the attitudes, what's portrayed in the TV show, what it influences you to do, going back to what I said about the seeds, you're just planting multiple negative seeds in your life, the more distractions you indulge in. You have to separate yourself from them. That's why I brought up the scriptures that I did in the very beginning. If you don't separate yourself from them, those seeds will begin to grow in your life and produce fruit. It's going to turn you into something. And you're going to multiply that and share that with other people. It's selfish when you do that. It's selfish when you say, I'm just going to live my life the way I want to live it. I don't care what nobody tells me. I'm going to live my life the way I want to do it. That's selfish. When these distractions continue to evolve, they turn into strongholds. So I'm going to give you an example. When the anxiety gets so bad and the world is giving you these different solutions and these different distractions, like they throw all this stuff in your face and they say, here's weed, here's alcohol, here's drugs, here's sex, here's things that give you strong feelings that you can distract yourself from truth. Here's music, even music. Most people listen to music about somebody else's feelings because they don't know how to go through their feelings themselves. And they think because they heard the words of somebody else's feelings that they have mastered feelings, experienced feelings because they heard it from someone else. You haven't even gone through the time to actually figure it out yourself. You're not producing no fruit. Fruit takes time to grow. You're trying to steal somebody else's fruit and think you got it. You don't have it. You have to go through it yourself. And when you keep doing things like start evolving, you start doing these different drugs and these different pills and these different alcohol and stuff, it changes you. And now there's a stronghold. And it becomes a part of you. And it's really hard to break away from that. If you think about silly putty, no, not silly putty. What's the other one? Play-Doh. You think about Play-Doh. When you get Play-Doh and let's say you got two different colors and you mash it together, you just keep mixing and mashing. You keep mixing and mashing. You're gonna see it's gonna be spickled and spettled. It's gonna be hard to separate the colors because it's so mashed together. That's what you do when you get so deep in your sin. It does say the word of Yah will cut through, but it's very tough at that point. a lot of prayer, a whole lot of fasting. And you would have to actively make that choice to do that. But do you think that you just magically gonna make that choice when you practice escapism your whole entire life? Do you really think that's true? Do you really think you're gonna make that choice? Whatever you practice is what you're gonna become. Whatever you constantly see, whatever you're sowing and putting into yourself, so will you reap. Whatever man thinketh, so is he. So if you're constantly watching things that tell you about yourself, that's who you are. But do you know what you're watching? Do you know what that leads to? If it's not Yah's laws, it equals death. There's too many people who practice escapism and not truth, even when it comes to parenting. When people are parenting, I see a lot of, especially nowadays, because we are so far from truth right now, which is why even this message, I feel like I'm yelling at people, but I'm trying not to be like this. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is what's got to be. I'm not really sorry about your feelings, bro. I'm sorry. I keep saying I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Just understand, when you parent, you have to parent through truth and not through feelings. Because when you parent through feelings, you're breeding somebody who's going to practice escapism. Escapism is pretty much the same thing as instant gratification, which is opposite of patience, because patience is the fruit of the spirit. And I'm going to explain to you why. When a kid is going through something when they're younger, let's say they're mad, they're sad, they're whatever, and instead of walking them through their emotions and guiding them through their emotions, if you just say, hey, instead of dealing with this emotion, let's just go do this. Or you succumb to the child's feelings because because you feel bad about seeing them this type of way. What are you teaching them? That feelings are over truth, that flesh is above the spirit, which equals death, which is going to equal a child who does not know how to manage their emotions. A child that when they get older, they're just going to practice escapism, escaping from reality. That's what the natural man does. The natural man changes reality in order to stay in their reality. They change truth, distort the world, and see it how they want to so that they can remain in their false reality. That's what the natural man does. And that always causes destruction. Because look at Adam and look at us. That's how you breed liars. Because they're going to distort reality. They're going to distort truth. Make excuses for what they do that's wrong. And distort reality. And make their lies seem like the truth. That's what happens when you put feeling over truth. Even the church, this is bled so deep into the church. So deep. Why nobody wants to do the laws? Because they don't feel like it. I don't feel like we should have to do that. That's for the Jews. Didn't you get grafted in? Or I'm tripping. Or am I reading a different Bible? Am I reading a different book? The church father said that you didn't have to do that. So, okay. I didn't know that's who authority was given to. Oh, my fault. I didn't know that. What are we doing? What are we doing? We need to get back to the natural way of things. But instead, we're super technical. We think that we're far advanced because we have technology. When I try to start looking up in the stars now, in the sky, I look at the signs, all I see is satellites. What's going on, bro? Everywhere I go, I gotta see a screen. I go in the store and I'm seeing 3D printed meat, 3D printed cheeseburgers. I'm sure it's 3D printed people out here, 1,000%. I know y'all bots. Man. You know how long I've been on Google and they say you gotta do them little click the pictures to make sure you're not a bot? That's how I know it's mad bots out here, man. We've been doing that since '08, man. It's 2026. We gotta cut this weird technology stuff out. Technology ain't doing nothing but magnifying our sin. Like you get a magnifying glass and sin was like a dot. But now we got technology, so now we're able to, it's huge now. Not only that, but now you can hide behind it. I'm going to give you a quick example. Let's say you got somebody who's a predator. If you was a predator, now you got a screen in which you can hide behind. And guess what? You can multiply your predation. I don't even know if that's the right word, but you can multiply it now. You can do some wild stuff, crazy stuff now. I don't even want to scare y'all mothers with what they do. All the games that you be playing, mad predators on there. Is literally I'm just calling them gangs, cults, literally predator cults, magnifying the sin. It's outrageous. It's crazy. Everybody already know about the Epstein files. That ain't nothing. Cause we got all this technology, we got all this weird stuff going on, magnifying sin to a crazy degree, and we think this stuff is just going unnoticed. Like judgment ain't gonna come for all this stuff. Like this is just cool. That's why I said in the very beginning of this, separate yourself. Come out of her. Please, please come out of her. Don't be like Adam and Eve and try to hide, try to deflect. Own up to what you're doing and go through it. When you do that, it's going to produce fruit. Don't worry about what nobody else is telling you, because guess what? This life is made for many, but the next life is made for few. And the next life is eternal. So why would you waste your time worrying about what somebody got to say today? Why would you waste your time putting your faith in distractions that's all perishable when it will perish very soon? And at that point, what you going to escape to? Because I promise you, there's a final boss. There's a final boss to escapism, which always is going to equal death. And if you practice escapism, what you think you going to do when that time comes? When your weed is gone, when you ain't got no more money, when the weed's thrown down, nobody selling weed no more. What you going to do? What you going to do when nobody can buy alcohol? What you going to do? What you going to do when your friends turn on you? What are you going to do? There's nothing you can hide behind. Yah sees it all. He will judge it all very soon. Sometimes, because I don't want you to be scared of this. Yah is merciful. He's very gracious. I think about, I don't know if it was Elisha or Elijah, but one of the prophets. Sometimes it's difficult in this walk. Yah understands that. He understands that you're nothing but a man. He understands that you get weary. Elijah once said, "Hey, Yah, I'm tired. I can't do this right now." Yah said, "All right, sit down by that tree." Comforted him, fed him, gave him what he needed, the time to rest. Once you get done resting, all right, big bro, time to get back up and get back to work. Stop hiding. Stop running. Stop running. Stop running. Stop running. It's only part one, but I love y'all. Keep seeking the truth, man.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Show your faith and do what you can. Moving through that door, take your mind, take your smiles, take your pride. Walking on your own, now who really playing God? I can't call myself disciple when I'm acting like a fry. Trying to save your soul, but that really ain't my job. Forcing you to grow stiff neck with your bob. Stubborn with desire, see that really was the pride. Love them, let them go, it ain't your world, this ain't trying. Lesson with control, spinning wild, SpongeBob. Advancing with the trauma, veil the message every time. Speaking through a lost language backwards.